Hi friends, happy Friday. I am here to give you the results from the employee and supervisor dissent survey. Also talk to you a little bit about some of the research that I conducted after examining the results, and the proposal that I made for training to improve communication around dissent, and creating a culture where that is open and encouraged. So the solutions are very simple, but let's start with the findings. First, thank you to everybody who participated. As far as the respondents, I had 34 in total that completed the survey. It was kind of cool how it shook out. 17 were employees, 17 as supervisors. The employee survey revealed, and I'm going to go over some of the high level things. I won't go over every data point, but if you want more information, I will be more than happy to share my findings with you. In terms of employees, 58% believe that engaging in dissent is risky. Also, interestingly, 70% of the employees report that they are somewhat comfortable voicing concerns to their supervisor, which don't necessarily align with maybe the current policy or the supervisor's position or perspective. So that was 70%. That's a pretty high amount that feel comfortable talking to their boss. But it is these other responses that kind of made that 70% seem, it was very interesting because the data didn't quite make sense together. But in terms of, maybe it's this particular boss that they have, and that's great. But everybody still reports that they fear, 58% of employees fear that it will negatively impact their work relationships if they dissent. 52% fear that the concern will not be addressed. And 41 fear the supervisor's reaction. So basically what the data shows us is that employees carry a burden of discomfort and fear when engaging in dissent. So in terms of the supervisor's responses, supervisor response revealed that 40% consider employee dissent as challenging or insubordinate. So I thought that was a really interesting thing, because if we think that as leaders that voicing or raising a differing concern or opinion, how somebody does that makes a big difference, and that's what we're going to get into in terms of solutions. But at the onset, if there is that perception of insubordination and that it's a challenging, you're getting challenged when somebody brings an alternate view in the workplace to your attention, that comes off probably in so many different ways that you might not even acknowledge as a leader, right? So when we have that high number, that was definitely one of the things that stood out for me from the supervisors' responses. But there was a lot of, not caveats, but I think supervisor wanted to clarify. Their sentiment was shared among supervisors. Employees' intention, history, and approach impact the supervisor's perception of dissent. Supervisors described how they feel the need and make it a priority to communicate the why when the why is not there for something that's changing or happening within a team or in the workforce. Leads to uncertainty and people having different thoughts and opinions. So many self-reported that the why is very important. I would say with all of the known fears of the employees, on the side of the supervisors, there were an overwhelming response that those supervisors want to work with dissent. They want their folks to bring a differing opinion. It's the how. The how is what's important to the supervisor. And that is what we're going to capitalize in the employee training. So when it came to solutions, what we basically came to is that we need to have a conversation, right? And the conversation, sometimes we need training, simple stuff that we need refreshers on. We need it in our interpersonal relationships. We need it in our marital relationships. And this type of high emotion, high stake type of engagement and dialogue with a leader where you have that power dynamic can be challenging. So the solution set that I brought was basically a model after after a study of a workplace where supervisory nurses were interviewed, and they talked about high conflict conversations, and kind of explored the perceptions, the feelings when you have to basically have an uncomfortable conversation. The solution there was training on the pre-discussion. So an employee really knowing, what am I talking about? What are the facts? Do I have a solution to present? So there's pre-conversation consideration. Also, level setting the person that you're talking to. Are you ready? Get a time that's good for them. I had a couple supervisors actually reach out and give me some personal experiences and say, when somebody stops you, they say, can I have a few minutes? And then you actually take up 30. And they've got a place to be, or they're running late into another meeting. Maybe they got to go to the restroom. There's all kinds of things that happen that may work against an employee who isn't planning the conversation, right? So you're going to optimize your successful outcome by preparing for the conversation. So that's step one. The step two is for both parties, employees and supervisors. So it's kind of damage control. How do you listen empathetically? How are you listening to identify what is workable within this concern? And then the last step is kind of the conversation's not over when it's over. It's really, that's the beginning point for demonstrating that you listened, that you heard on both sides, and being able to return to a conversation. It's like that feedback loop. You constantly need to come back to see, are we tracking? Are we tracking? Do are you having different experiences now that maybe a change has been made? But you only know that if you come back to the conversation. So there's post dialogue training for both employee and supervisor. I thought that was really important because supervisors weren't saying, I don't want to hear you. They were saying, present your message. Present your message. And I think employees are feeling the initial strain, fear of even having the conversation. But if you're equipped for it, if you're prepared for it, if you've done your research, you've supported your claims, you've got problem A, and here are point A, B, and C, and these are real facts, you are better positioned to go into a dialogue, with one proposing a solution that may actually be enacted or that is workable somehow. So in any case, it shows, also care for the workplace, that you want to see things improve, you want efficiencies, and we always work better together. Diversity of thought and opinion is what will make a workplace thrive. So rather than the people in it just survive. So in any case, those are the results, kind of a high level view of the results. The proposal for the training, it would be something you could do quick, you could do in a meeting or two, and really talk to your folks about, preparing for a conversation, preparing for a difficult conversation. How many times do we just feel like we need to have a conversation, and then we just say things, and we don't take those calculated steps to step back outside of the emotion and respond to it, think about it, ask the supervisor for a time. Don't surprise anybody and hit them over the head with information that's, going to send them into defense mode. And then for the supervisor, one, knowing you want dissent, you want to encourage it. If these people are taking these steps, how can you implement those damage control steps in the middle, listening, being open, and then I think the very end is so key. Post conversation. It's not over when the conversation's over. That's really the beginning of when we begin to understand each other better and move forward with actions that cultivate real change. So in my final class that's coming up and starting on Monday, I need to actually institute this training, institute this type of survey and training in a particular work environment. I need to choose an organization to do it in. If you have a team department or company where you would like to see a communication training like this occur, of course it would be targeted to your company or your team's needs. My focus is employee dissent, so if you feel that that's a need in your organization, please let me know and see what we can do to use this opportunity, this training and this research that I've done to bring you a solution in your workplace. Let me know. You can reach me here on Facebook, message me, and then we'll set up a time to talk. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating in the survey and listening to the results. I enjoy my work. Part of the reason I enjoy my work is because I know when I have a concern or a need, I can address it with my supervisors. And I have done the work to make sure that when I do present an issue, I present a solution as well. And I really think that I operate better in my workplace because I know I can have these dialogues, and I can have these conversations with the decision makers that impact my workload and my day-to-day operations. So I hope to bring the same to you and some of your employees. Thanks. Happy Friday.